good morning, good evening, and
Well,
whatever.
okay, to be fair, I didn't really give us a countdown on a go, so.
You're just like, go. Oh, well,
Well, it
hello.
wasn't really, it's not a hard go, you know? There's no,
No,
I
it's
have to test levels and stuff like that, make sure everything's even,
mm-hmm,
make sure
mm-hmm.
not everybody's mic is gonna be running like ridiculously hot and spiky and fucking shit, dude. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
On top
Well,
of
you
that,
have
I,
to.
I haven't had any food, so this is gonna be one hell of a podcast to start.
I mean, I would argue that you should have made food before we started.
Here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. I literally when I messaged you at like 8, I messaged you and went right back to sleep. And then I got up at like 9:30. So,
Well, we could have probably started a little bit later. I don't know that we're gonna have too many people listening on the first one.
yeah, yeah, that's true. We make this for ourselves, right?
Yeah. So titling this the lost episode because we. It's funny story, was it?
well,
Uh,
well, to the lost episode was meant to be lost because considering the fact that we lost it due to the fact that there was no space.
well, there was that. I think checking like space first would have been the optimal choice, but
Or just getting like an external hard drive.
that too.
That would have
They're,
helped.
yeah, I think they're fairly cheap actually. I don't
Yeah.
know. Uh, uh, eBay external
Nah, I don't.
SSD. Well,
I honestly want to make coffee and get at least a little bit of that in my system before we can actually start going. But hey, we got a nice little preamble.
yeah, absolutely. Well, if you got to leave the room for coffee, I'll just sit here and.
Why? I literally just made it.
Oh,
It's literally sitting beside me.
ah, you two live with the coffee pot near you.
Well, Chemex machine, but
Cat mix machine.
it's more of a Chemex brewer when you just load the top on whatever.
Oh, okay.
I made coffee on the way up, so I threw some water in a.
Oh, okay. One of those. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I kind of want one of those.
it's a lot of work.
I know, $122, but that actually looks really
Yeah,
fantastic there.
the ones I got on Amazon weren't too bad. It was only like 86, I think.
I think, yeah, I think might just be because it's,
Cause
I don't know.
I don't know where you're getting yours from, but
Oh no, this one's the 10 cup is $80. Is this because it's bigger or?
it probably is. Like if you, usually I don't really get anything more. I get like 2 cups out of this shot, out of this thing before it really starts going south on me. But yeah, like there's a 1 liter one that's that'll set you like it's a Bodum 1 liter, comes with a filter,
Yeah.
permanent filter. It's 34 ounces. No, it's $35 and it's free delivery with Prime.
Hmm.
So
Now my question is, do I have to crush my own beans?
I would recommend it.
All right, yeah. Well, I'll just have to buy a grinder with that. That's like a $400 investment.
Nah, not really.
um,
A
I
burr
do,
grinder?
yeah. Uh, well,
It's not too bad.
Well, the thing is, like, I've never had to do it myself. When I used to live at the other place with a buddy there, his mom would grind them, and like, I opted at one
Like,
point. I'm
you
like,
could just get a manual grinder. Yeah, it takes longer, but you get to, like, really dial that in.
yeah, like I told her like I would do it because this is like an important skill for if I ever want to make my own coffee, right?
Well, there's. The cheapest one I could find right now is like $15.
It's not bad. It's
And
actually
it,
manageable.
yeah, it's like, it's actually like the cheapest powered one I'm looking at right now.
Oh no, you gotta do it by hand.
No, you don't
You
really.
got you got to
The
build that
cheapest
wrist.
the cheapest one I could see that's powered and it still does a good fine tune good on the fine tune settings is like $50. But like
Yeah,
if
man. You
you
get,
really want to be that person like me and then really go for it, but like it's like $15. It's actually really cheap.
do you even Do you even try to build your grip strength there?
You don't really need to. It's not that hard. You don't. You're not. You're. It's a lot of turning, so it's a lot of more like forearm strength, just to
Okay.
hold on to it and just make sure when you're spinning it around, it's more forearm. Because it's just a lot of rotational things, right? Like that's all you're doing is rotation, rotation, rotation.
Yeah. Like but at the other place we did it in a Dutch oven, and if anybody's had to cook coffee in a Dutch oven,
Oh God,
um
why?
yeah. I mean, we didn't have one of these Chemexes, right? So but we'd have it last for like 2 or 3 days. And that was, that's
Well,
optimal.
consider okay. To give our viewers some context, because we probably get some sort of viewers, even though I'm not broadcast, even though I'm broadcasting on Twitch.
I'm honestly tempted to go to like,
Kevin and I, and you see our names on the screen right now. Kevin and I went to this place called the Roaster a couple days ago, and he had his first cup of coffee, proper coffee, by the way.
as
Because,
if I don't make it at home.
uh, well, okay, I can't disregard the fact that Tim Hortons makes coffee, but it's not coffee in the sense of like it's coffee for the masses. That's Tim Hortons. It's like your Dunkin' Donuts in the U.S. So like that's pretty much as close as it gets down there.
A US listener's gonna be like, "Oh, fuck these guys."
No, no, I bet you some of them are like, yeah, no, that's Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, so we get like a perfect distribution. Half of them are like, "Oh, well, these guys just have poor taste," and they are like, "Yeah, that makes sense."
Some of no, but like Tim Hortons is like a Canadian Dunkin' Donuts. That's literally it. There's no ifs,
Oh man,
ands, or buts about it. That's in my honest opinion. That is the most comparable 1-to-1. I'd say it's not the most accurate, but it's pretty close.
see, and I we used to have Dunkin' Donuts where I grew up. I'm from Fort McMurray, so
Oh man,
anybody who's been
luxury.
there, especially early '90s, would know this. We had Dunkin' Donuts at a gas station. This is like the only Dunkin' Donuts in all of Alberta.
Do you know we used to have in Calgary? We used to have Krispy Kreme in Calgary.
Oh man, you guys were living large. We
Oh, I didn't have. Do you know what's hilariously funny? Of all the times have I had Dunkin', of all the times I really wish I had Krispy Kreme.
Mhm.
It was all the times it never existed in Calgary. The one time it existed in Calgary, didn't think about it.
Well, and that's one of the weird things. Like, if KFC disappears tomorrow, how
Oh,
many people? How many
freaking
people?
out.
Yeah, like how many people would you think are like, "Oh, it's gone?" Whereas before they're like, "Oh, well, it's KFC. I'd rather have Popeyes or some crap like that, right?" Like we got chicken on the way, but you
Okay,
would miss it.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't, in my honest opinion, I will not miss KFC.
I mean, I'm with you on it.
But I can understand the amount of people that will, because there's nothing that says, hey, 11 quote unquote 11 herbs and spices do the trick. What?
I honestly think they're more on maybe 2 or 3.5 spices at this point.
It's hit or miss. Like a lot of it really depends on where you're getting them nowadays. Like the
Hmm.
one on 17 is actually pretty good. Like it's
So,
not the best, but it's solid.
so from my understanding, Chicken on the Way is like a Calgary exclusive chain.
Yeah, with they have branched out in the city, but they haven't branched out outside of the city, to what I've known.
Yeah. So
So
like,
to
go ahead.
it's hard to compare them. That's the problem because their frying style, even though they do the double fry, like they do a double fry batch, they're
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but their fries are just not crispy.
They're very soft, aren't they?
They're soft. They're hella soft, which makes me assume that they don't double fry.
I don't mind that they're soft, but they don't hold well the next day, and that's kind of
They
the
don't
problem.
hold well 30 minutes. Like you have to
Yeah,
eat them out of the box right away.
and that's the thing. Like, you get one of the meal types, and like, there's not much choice to it. You either get a personal meal size, which is 2 pieces of chicken, a fritter, and fries, and by the time you're done the fritter or not the fritter, what
Well, by
is
the
there?
time you're done the chicken, then the fries, the fritter's kind of just whatever.
Yeah, but well, no, because the
You'll get
corn.
halfway through the fries, and you're just kind of like, I quit.
Yeah, like the corn. Well, it's cornbread, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It,
like you.
and I swear that little fritter of cornbread will put you out.
Oh, it
It
does, and
does. It so does.
it's. I don't want to like make bad comparisons because like I've had them
God.
before, and I used to love them. I don't know what the issue with them in the actual like city is, but I had the Five Guys out of the Airdrie, and their burgers were fine.
Oh
Um,
yeah. No. There's a couple more Five Guys kicking around. They're mostly down the south because it's like that population can like afford that shit.
yeah, but I like you get when they initially moved into like Airdrie, my experience with them was okay. I'll get a burger and fries, and that's fine. I went with my family, and we got these burgers that were the size of of your friggin' skull, and by the
But that's the
time,
thing is Five Guys they serve them up pretty large though.
hmm
Like I would say Five Guys, Carl's Jr. in a way.
I
I
hate
think
Carl's.
Boogie's Burgers would be on that same level.
I've never had boogies, and
Oh,
so
really? Oh,
I can't
okay.
speak to it. I've had
I
fat.
gotta describe this for you. So you know you've had the Dragon Slayer, right?
Hmm.
Similar vein,
Oh yeah.
like literally similar vein. It's like Boogie's. It's not Peter's, but we're kind of glad it's not Peter's.
I've heard the burgers are absolutely disgusting. Like
They
it's
are. It's
yeah.
like sauce to the nines. There's more sauce than there is burger.
Oh, that's disgusting.
And
Like
that's the only
your sauce.
reason why the burger's good is the sauce is good. And that's the sad part about it. Is like if you have to have a burger, I want a burger.
So
I don't want a fucking ketchup drenched piece of
ew,
garbage.
that's not a visual I want.
No.
Um.
I didn't mean to put that in your head, but like I'm sorry, but that's as good of an accurate description as I can put into it.
So here's my counterpoint. Burn Burger, their sauce occupies, I think, maybe like 7% of the burger. Like the perfect ratio of your burger to sauce should be something like 10% or something like that, right?
It's like it's the sauce is like ketchup. It should be on top of the burger.
Yeah. Um.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't touch vegetables. It shouldn't. It's bun sauce bun. It's bun sauce patty. I call me a stickler for that, but I swear to God, there's only a few there's a few chain restaurants that do that, and it's great. And then there's some that just go bun and then like 45 fucking toppings before they put the sauce on, and it's disgusting. I
Okay.
hate it. The vegetables need to be on top of the patty, and I don't know why it works that way. But it does. It's amazing that it works that way. I don't understand it.
I don't either. God, I was having a robot chicken flashback there with the toys of yesteryear thing with is it
Before,
bun sauce
okay,
chicken?
can I get one digress before we
Okay.
touch on the main topic? Um, holy fuck. Uh, I don't know what it is, and I think there might be a cause for concern, a little bit of cause for concern with the Bitcoin craze and whatnot. People are buying out Magic sealed product like it's
Oof.
going out of style, and I can't understand why.
I have a theory on that.
Okay, go.
Okay. So what's Kaldheim pre-orders at?
Give me a second. I'm looking that up.
Like if we go to
Called.
Star City Games, for example, can we see like they're sold out?
I don't. They shouldn't be. Do you know what? Let me check Goldfish. Let me check
Um,
Goldfish real quick.
yeah, because one of the things Okay, so Coldheim Fat Bundles. So collector boosters are there's like 33 left on Star City for the collector boosters boxes. Um, but the draft boosters are just sold out.
The draft boosters?
Yeah. Um.
Oh,
So
what?
so
I
here's
what? You can see why I'm like kind of racking my brain on that one, right? Like that's weird.
it is. So collector boosters, there's a surplus of them on Star City. Here's my working theory: is that people are getting smarter. That is my hot take for the episode. There may be more.
Okay,
But
let me get a prices for all sets kind of thing. There used to be a thing that you'd be able to watch like sets fully. Okay. Okay. Well, okay, so it's this 398 cards. Complete set value is about 1K 397 1397.83 US. Foils set value 2643 US. And
yeah,
foam.
like yeah, there's 13 booster draft boosters left for face to face, whereas the collector
Hmm.
boosters there's 64 still left. Um
I might get a collector boot. Like for this is actually for a friend. Like I get to keep all the cards though. So technically I'm buying it for someone else to pack crack because they wanted they because YouTube channel. That's it.
okay.
So
We
I'm not mad. This is actually fine. But like here's the thing, and this one actually gets me. A lot of the older sets, and what I mean by older sets, and I mean like a lot sets that I in a similar vein of the worst sets ever.
okay.
So your homelands, your I wouldn't say Mercadian Mask because that was actually a really good set, but like in that realm, booster boxes of those sets have been going up in price.
It might be with respect to as it gets older type thing. Like there's a lot of the older sets have a lot of um better cards than we have nowadays, which is kind of it's a mixed bag because on the one hand, these cards are really good. You want to play with them and you
Hmm.
want to own them, and they're always going to be in demand. On the other hand, we are kind of in a very volatile market with Magic, where we don't know what's going to get reprinted, and we don't know when it's going to get reprinted.
Well, the thing is like we can do the dirty thing and just start speculating about it's like oh what's gonna be reprinted in the list or whatever, and I'm kind of for it because okay. I got up some prices on eBay. I'm pulling out some prices on eBay. So pre-release for set booster box sealed,
Hmm.
159.99.95. Collector booster box is about 313.95, which is about as expected.
Hmm.
The set of two commander decks are about 57.95. Here's what gets me. Remember the commander's decks that came out with Commander Legends?
Hmm.
Apparent and I apparently they're being bought out.
I can see it. I can absolutely see it.
Which I think it's just select product that has like high card that has like a certain card or two that are really good.
Hmm.
So take the goblin dude that makes treasure tokens, I forgot.
Dockside.
Yeah, thank you. So take your dockside extortionists and that all the free stuff out of the Commander Legends at Commanders, that sort of thing. And I
Yeah.
think those decks are just getting targeted and just
Well,
being bought up, like being basically bought up the chain. And
so
that worries me because that makes those cards, those specific cards in those decks harder and harder to come by.
so counterpoint.
Okay.
I went to Shoebox the other day, and got my trades, got my cash, yada yada. Um, I I asked for Ramen out because I wanted to break a 20, and you get bus fare from $20 as you buy cards. So lesson
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
kids. Um, and he had dropped the Ramen excavator had dropped from $16 to $4.
The
Um,
foil or the non-foil?
the non-foil. Um,
Wow.
but dropping roughly about $11. This
16,
is
no, 16 to 4?
yeah, yeah. It's about no, that's
9?
$12. Sorry, something like that.
16 to 4 is, no, that's 12. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. It's
Um.
12. It's 12.
No, keeping in mind that this is Star City pricing, obviously. Um. Discounting the 75 cents on the dollar type of thing.
Yeah.
But
Which
a
is
drop.
amazing, by the way. If you live in Calgary and have not and played a trading card game, you need to visit Shoebox at least once. And
Mhm.
I kid you not, they have Digimon in stock, and it makes me a little worried because it's hard to read that market because it's such a new card game.
It is and it isn't. It had its popularity back in the early 2000s when Digimon was, really
Yeah,
big.
real big.
I think it came back because of the Digimon Tri movies. It's
Oh,
like
okay. I've got a reasoning for why it came out why it crashed from 16 to about 4.
it got reprinted to heck in the Commander decks.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Also
at least
but however, and I will say this, there is the buy a box the draft weekend promo,
mhm.
which went up and has now come back down to about 686. I think that's a buy because I think that's just gonna ride.
It was the same with the Godzilla promo with the Korea.
Hmm.
It jumped right up, but no store in town would take the promo
No,
a week or two after the initial release because it was like, well, we have so many in stock and nobody really wants this card, right?
and that's
Um,
that's the problem where I don't. That's the kind of problem I'm having with it is that a lot of cards now are seeing prices that are much higher than they should be for very little play.
it's yeah. A lot of people get kind of excited at the prospect of a reprint, right?
Don't get me wrong, I want to touch on this like a little bit further on a different podcast, and I'm thinking of bringing Brendan Cook. I don't. Have you met Brendan Cook on it?
I don't think I have.
You two need to talk. It's kind of great. It'll be great. Trust me on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But this is not. I don't. I wanted to side quest that. I just wanted to digress into that just a hair because I couldn't understand it for the life of me. But I want to do a podcast with him, and I'm trying to email him and bug him about it, and trying to see when his thing is going to be on. So I might try to see if we can get you on that as well. That'd be great.
I I honestly wouldn't mind with us just being the host, and then we'd have like guests every now and then. Like that would be fine.
Yeah,
That would
we
be
we could always
100%.
we could always just do that as well.
Yeah,
Like it's
like
our
we're
podcast.
it's our podcast.
Screw
It's our
y'all.
podcast, comrade.
This is our podcast now. All right. But yeah, no, getting actually into the main topic of this thing today is bubble tea in Calgary, and I want to start with a precipice of
Mhm.
there used to be a lot less bubble tea shops than there is now.
That's from You're not wrong.
Because the original places I remembered, like bubble tea places popping up, was Chinatown, Pacific Village, yeah, Pacific Place Mall, which was basically the TNT supermarket place,
Okay.
and that's kinda it.
My experience with bubble tea, uh, before the last few years, I think I'm just trying to think how long ago was I had my first bubble tea, and it was a new experience because you have those little bubble orb things
Mm-hmm.
that um but there's a place in Westbrook Mall called Sylvia's, and they have bubble tea,
Mm. Yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah.
I cannot
I forgot
recommend
about
it
hers.
enough.
I
I can't
actually
re
forgot about hers.
Yeah, well, you you walk by it and you don't really notice, right? It's like the other place right beside it.
It's is Sylvia's open right now?
I don't know
Because
if it is.
last time I went by Westbrook, it wasn't open,
She could have closed down for all we know.
which is kind of sad because that was a really good shop.
Oh, it absolutely was. I think I had a barbecue meal from there actually. So
Oh, ooh, that sounds good.
it was it so was.
All right. But yeah, no, but that's the kind of thing. Is like it was like Sylvia's. There's a couple places downtown in Chinatown that was really solid, and
I
then
know.
it was Pacific Place and the Crepe Cafe. That's all. That's all the places I knew that had bubble tea. And I'm gonna say that with a precipice of that's what I knew. So I again, this is not exactly the full scope of, hey, I missed a place in the Northwest. Like, of course I'm gonna miss a place in the Northwest. I don't live there. I live in the Northeast, kind of. So of course I'm gonna miss some places that are like super deep south or super deep northwest or whatever. But
I
like this is a I think it was like a 5 year kind of thing where 5 years ago you couldn't find a bubble tea place what that wasn't like like a bubble tea place that wasn't like or Chinatown, Pacific Place, or Sylvia's in Westbrook. Like
yeah.
they kind of put it on the map for them.
Well, and now you go down like 17th or Kensington or something, and like you got a bubble tea place on almost every corner.
And
They're
I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's 100% fine. Like I'm never gonna whine about a bubble tea place closer to home, right?
And like there's a few more in like you get a little bit of choice nowadays with the with bubble tea places. And
Yeah,
that's kind of the strange thing about it is like I don't think I'm used to that. Is that the I don't think I'm actually used to it having you know there were there would be every single like Vietnamese place that served like pho that had bubble tea, but it was all the same. There was no uniqueness into it, right?
yeah.
Like you had
Well,
you either had the real fruit smoothie places, or you had the powdered stuff, and you could tell the difference.
yeah. Well, we're
That's it.
that's it's like going to Orange Julius and going to like some mom and pop smoothie place, right? Like Orange
Hmm.
Julius is gonna give you the powdered stuff that you like. Okay, well,
Well, that's the powdered stuff. There it is.
yeah. Whereas a mom and pop place that actually wants to sell, an actual fruit smoothie to you is gonna sell you a fruit smoothie.
Oh, they won't sell you a fruit smoothie. They literally blend a fruit and put it in the cup and sell it to you.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, is like they'll put the effort in
Hmm.
and you're gonna notice a difference. If I had to make the comparison, it's Booster Juice versus the Orange Julius, right? Like I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
I don't know
Like
too much.
that's the franchise. That's like the franchise comparison right there.
Yeah. It's exactly that. It's A&W versus McDonald's. Well, I'm gonna go to A&W if I want to be full from a burger. Like first and
Like
foremost.
if I wanted to eat a meal versus I want a snack.
Yeah, and that's absolutely it. It's you. If you want a real thing, you're going to go to the place where you know the real thing's going to be.
Hmm.
Whereas if you just want something to tide you over until you get home and you make that big dinner for yourself, you're gonna go to the other place, and that's, I think, with respect to bubble tea places, that's kind of where they're at right now. They're
They
aware that,
it's an in and out kind of situation. I get it.
yeah, they're aware of the niche, right? Like
Hmm.
everybody wants bubble tea every now and then, so why not make that an exclusive thing?
Except for there's always that like one or two people that are just like, I live on this shit. I
It's just,
I swear to God, I have a friend that actually lives and dies by bubble tea, and it worries me to the ninth degree, and I am very scared.
it's you know what I I can appreciate it. My mom, before she passed there, she
Hmm.
she was a big Starbucks connoisseur. Like
Oh
her
my
default
gosh.
was caramel macchiatos, and
Which
they're
I hate to tangent, and
go ahead.
this actually tangents right into the last episode, but
The
the
episode nobody
what
will ever see.
Starbucks calls a macchiato is not a macchiato at all. It's just a fucking latte.
I mean, you're not wrong. Those of us who like it are gonna be like, you know what, dude, you have your coffee.
You you were
um,
on that train, and then I showed you real coffee, and then now you're kind of off it.
Yeah, I'm gonna preface this with I never drink coffee black. I have to have a bit of milk and a honey in my coffee or I go absolutely berserk.
Until
um,
that fateful day.
yeah, so that's the only time I've ever had black coffee. I tried it before at like a crappy place like a Denny's.
Yeah, no.
Um, I'm
It
sure there's somebody out there who's like Denny's just slaps right with their coffee. No, they
no,
don't.
no, they don't.
If you are that high,
You are lying to yourself, and you know it.
somebody's
If you,
like, I'm
it,
always that high.
you are, I kid you not. If you actually think that Denny's can slap with a coffee, you are lying to yourself, and you know it.
Yeah, and it's a different experience, and it's not a good experience when you're drinking Denny's coffee. You're, I like the measurement for, am I here to have a meal, or am I here because we've got about 20 minutes before the movie
Hmm.
starts and we need a quick meal.
Denny's, I don't think they're quick though. Cause like all the times that I've had Denny's, I've had them, and it's been like a good 20 minutes. It's a good 10-minute wait.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not fast food. Like Denny's is not fast food. It as much as it's like I compare it more to like what's it
I
what's
I
it
would
called? I forget what it's called.
I no idea.
It's a diner.
Ricky's.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. It's more diner experience than it
Yeah,
is
like,
like fast food.
okay, I guess if you it's like a 45-minute thing, but
It's a real 45. You spend an hour there, and that's you're in and out. You're in and out in an hour.
yeah, where somewhere like Montana's, you're sitting there for at least an hour and a half trying to, even Montana's though, I've
Well,
never.
to be fair, Montana's is more like you go there and you enjoy food, right?
More or less, yeah.
Denny's is like, hey, it's a breakfast joint. We meet, we talk, we eat.
Exactly. You're not there for the experience. You're there, well, yeah, the experience, but not for the, food.
It's not this. They're not the same.
No.
I would honestly would not put those two together in the same.
Now, if you want to go to like a place for an actual like breakfast, you go to IHOP. Like that's
which we
I,
have two now.
yeah, and that's absolutely a
Do
breakfast
do you know
place.
what's hilariously funny?
Hmm.
I remember the first time they came to Canada, specifically Calgary,
Mhm.
and there was a lineup all the way back out the door in the summer. And the first time I went to California, I went to California with my family, and we got
Mhm.
to meet up with our family down there. And I stumbled across an IHOP, and I pointed it out, and my aunt looks at me like I'm fucking weird or something because and I looked inside, I took a peek. I didn't really go inside. I took a peek through the window, and it was dead. So here I am, confused because on the one hand, you have our busy IHOP, and those are tends to be really good. Hey, Rip too.
Mhm.
But at the same vein, on the same vein, I remember looking into an IHOP, and it was and it was 10 a.m. So it was like they were open. Of course, they were open, but it was dead, like actually dead inside.
Okay.
And that's what gets me. And I'm like, what? How can you pack a place in one country, yet go to a different country and you see the same restaurant, and it's like nothing ever happened?
I think it's a lot of it has to kind of stem from the fact that like let's say you're in some country, I don't know, that doesn't have a McDonald's, for example.
That's like few and far between nowadays.
Yeah, but as soon as a McDonald's shows up in that country, that place is packed.
Oh, so the Jollibee, like the Jollibee thing.
Yeah, like you're people who don't have these places and travel abroad and see these places are like, oh, well, this is cool. This is this is something I'd like back in my country.
And when it
And
finally comes home, it's like all of a sudden it's a big deal here.
yeah, because it's something you didn't have before. It's going back to the whole if KFC disappeared thing. We would notice
Hmm.
and we'd miss it, but we wouldn't miss it with the kind of affection we would have if Chicken on the Way, for example, folded up tomorrow. It's like
Which I'm gonna be very honest with you, they're not gonna fold tomorrow.
no, they're way too
That
big.
that empire, I swear to God, that empire of a shop will, I think, live on as long as as the city of Calgary lives.
Oh, yeah, there's your first problem.
But no, but and that's the thing. It's just like if the city dies, it's dead. That's it.
Yeah,
There's no if, ands, or buts about it. Like that, it lives as much as the city lives.
yeah, and that's a thing. Like you're always gonna have a chicken on the way in Calgary. Like there's always gonna be at least one.
If you live in the city for a significant amount of time, you will at least have chicken on the way once.
Yeah,
There,
and
it's one of those things you're not going to escape.
no,
I think chicken on the way, Peters you'll experience once, and maybe a couple times because the I will give it to them. Their milkshakes are pretty damn good, but it's like kind of expected as if you're living in Calgary. Like your bar is set pretty high already.
yeah. Well, that's kind of the weird thing, isn't it? Like it's a very white collar city, but a lot of our tastes are kind of blue collar. Um,
Is yeah. There
like we're
okay. Like I remember there used to be this place called the Burger Bus. I think it's still around. I don't know. It was a it's a renovated bus into a small like kitchen,
yeah.
flat top, everything. Like the works. And could easily say that was probably some of the best burgers I've had in town.
Yeah.
Only for the fact that they kept it real fucking simple.
How simple are we talking?
Like, they didn't do anything too crazy. Like, and that's kind of the gist of it. Is most of their menu is very simplified. It's just like we have burger, we have a burger with cheese, we have a burger with bacon. What do we call it? A burger, a cheeseburger, a burger with bacon. Like,
That's
if you want, it's not hard to understand the menu. And if you need to stand there and think about what you're going to order, okay, you have basically a few options. You have a
yeah, bur-
burger, you have a cheeseburger, which is a burger with cheese, and then you have a burger with a little bit of extra.
I love how intense you're getting about this. Like,
It and
this
that's
shit
no
is
no no no
really simple.
no, and that's kind of the luxury of it. It's like, hmm, what do I want? Burger. Okay. Do I want cheese on it? Yes, no. Do I want bacon on it? Yes, no. Do I want, like, and that there's a lot of just a little bit of like forking on that. And it's just like,
So
and that's
here's
the
a
beauty of like a burger shop that is just like we do burgers.
yeah. So here's the I guess the crux of it for me is kind of like the bubble tea thing. Going back to the bubble tea thing, we
Yeah.
have a lot of bubble tea shops now. Like obviously you have your preferences.
There is
What
so many now. Oh my god.
yeah. Like you could go to one place and fall in love with their bubble tea, and another place maybe halfway across the city is not your jam, and that is perfectly reasonable.
No, it's
Um,
totally reasonable. Like I'm reading the chat right here, and Rip2 chimes in with like he tries the try again in Chinatown, and that's like the first he remembers. I have actually never. There used to be a Juice Fruits in Chinatown. They just closed like recently, and that was probably that was super good.
wait,
And
we got
then
chat members?
no, it's called Juice Fruit.
Okay, I thought
So
we actually.
we
Go ahead.
had there was a couple places that had it. It was Juice Fruit was kind of the main one that I liked pretty well. There was now there's like Gonsha. There's Cha Time, which is pretty new. I honestly, I think in the last 2 years we've seen more bubble tea places open up, and they're more chains. That's what I've noticed. So
Yeah,
Cha Time, Gonsha, and I think there's another one that are They're all chains, but they're all bubble tea.
so are they kind of coming from the U.S. and
No,
kind of no?
I think. Give me a second. I gotta do the actual like info check.
So I'm
Cha
gonna
Time. Where origin? I'm doing a Google real quick.
yeah. So I'm gonna have my little
Okay,
tangent
got
here.
it.
Oh,
Cha Time was founded in Taiwan
okay.
in 2005. Now they're pretty big.
Jesus.
Um, Gongcha. The other Gongcha was also from Taiwan.
Okay, so it's basically cultural cross pollination at this point. Um,
Well, I think that's kind of a thing.
well, and this is kind of on the other another specific podcast. They talked about it about the whole.
We can name
Uh,
drop here.
okay, so like on Trash Taste, like
Yeah,
I think a couple weeks ago they
I
mentioned like
had a feeling that you're gonna you were gonna go on trash taste.
I love the podcast. I'll admit it. But Garnt has absolutely shit taste. Watch him be like,
You're
well,
not.
fuck
The
you.
sad thing is you're not wrong, but
Um, but they brought up cross pollination, cultural cross pollination, which is a different thing from cultural appropriation. It's like
yeah,
there's an actual sharing versus "Oh, this looks cool. I'll take it from your culture and um use
Implemented
it."
as our own.
Yeah, and it's when you kind of like pay respect to the culture while also indulging in the things that are like, like the Chinese dress fiasco from a few years back with the American girl there at prom. It's like, well, no, she likes to dress, and I'm sure she recognizes that it came from a different culture. But there's a certain point where you stop being outraged at the fact that she's wearing the dress, and you start appreciating the fact that she has good taste and it looks good on her,
Yeah,
right?
like there there is nobody that's gonna stop and think that, oh, I can't wear this dress because X Y Z. There's because I hate this, and I hate to bring this up, but that's racist.
It is in the weirdest
In a weird roundabout way, that's racist.
yeah, because how do you exclude one person from another race from embracing the identity, or not the identity, but like the
Someone who is like understanding of culture of a specific culture, and they like the clothing style. They go into a shop. They're like, yes, I would like one of these. I would like to wear one of these. This is going to be my thing.
yeah,
If I
but
was the shop owner and uh, some white chick rolls up and is like, "Hey, I want to wear like proper, proper like Filipino style wear," um, I would not object to it. Like, I would actually go and seek that out.
well, and there's a couple places in Edmonton like that where they're just like they're selling it right at the front, and you're like, what's the mentality you're supposed to go in there with? Like, oh, I'm not Chinese, or I'm not Saudi, or I'm not
Again,
Filipino.
like
I can't have this.
I hate
No,
to
like
use
they're
that
selling to
line, but
everybody.
that actually is racist.
Yeah, like I
That's
think
racism.
go ahead.
It's blatant racism.
Yeah, 100%. It's like when you start putting restrictions on what people can and cannot do, that's not just like you're censoring them, or
Hmm.
starting up your own fascist state. You're actively excluding people from experiencing something that they should, by all rights, have the opportunity to experience. Like you don't
Hmm.
see on an Indian restaurant or a Chinese restaurant or whatever, Chinese or Indian or whoever only, right? Like that's we're not living in 1950s US where the blacks have their side and the whites have their side. We're not living in that kind of
No.
society anymore. I think kind of like trying to step back to that is itself the problem.
Yeah, exactly. But and the good thing nowadays is like we even though we live in a society where like that's what's acceptable is beyond. What
Ye-
I'm like a lot finding a lot is like there's a little bit more discrimination against like certain things. And that's where the line that's where the line gets blurred.
Well, and that's the thing too is um me being as heavy into anime and into foreign films as I am, like
Hmm.
I'll stand by that there are a lot of good Japanese horror films out there. And even Korean, like Koreans really know how to do horror themselves. So I'll stand by certain films. Other ones are gonna be like, well, okay, I get that it's from your culture, but I can't see it, man. Um,
It seems a
but
little weird.
yeah, well, if a film's not good, I'm not gonna judge it on the merits of, well, it's just a cultural thing. It's I personally don't find it to be a good film, and like that's got to be my opinion, and I don't have to appreciate something I don't like. Um, that said, I'll appreciate the effort if it's there. Um,
Yeah, I can respect that, honestly.
but going back to the point about like me being into anime and foreign films, as few of them as I've been exposed to. Like I derive in my writing, I'll derive influences in like names and that stuff, right? Like if I'm writing about a specific region setting for uh for a plot, I'm gonna use the influence that I know of, but I'm not gonna play it as this is what I know and this is a fact and this is, all there is to it. It's deriving influence and saying, okay, well, I know what I know and I'm comfortable with what I know and I'm using what I know to kind of build something, right?
Hmm.
Like I don't know I don't know if that
You're
kind of
taking the knowledge that you've acquired and using it in a different sense.
yeah, it's just like a few of my characters have like Japanese sounding names or Chinese sounding names or whichever, and a lot of my exposure has been to, I guess, through cinema, through animation, and the few videos I've watched and
Hmm.
such. Um, a lot of my exposure has been to Japan, so like I'm trying to build a more Eastern setting with a mainly Japanese influence, but I'm also using the Dao as the primary weapon for the setting. So it's just like, well, we live in Japan, but we have a Chinese weapon. Hmm.
Yeah, I know. It's sort of weird.
It is, but like I'm not saying this is how it is all across Asia. It's that I this is my exposure, this is what I understand of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at the same time I'm trying to build more of a setting and giving the impression of what basically using a familiarity that people can relate to, right?
Yeah,
Um
exactly.
and and working with something that I actually enjoy and that I like. So, to top off this tangent, I think it's fine to derive your influences to kind of call forward as a way to familiarize an audience or something with it.
Hmm.
Um, but you don't go into it, and I think this is kind of where the message got blurred. I like the intent used to. I could easily see the intent being, for example, like Native Americans. They were largely presented as a kind of, and this is mostly in Western media. Back when I was younger, anyways, kind of like an unintelligent, kind of savage people who, for the most part, were more or less victims, but at the same time, they were kind of uneducated, I guess you would say. And it's not even that. It's that they had a different kind of
They had a
identity.
different, yeah, they had a different identity. They had a different standpoint, different viewpoints. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think like the intent there of, okay, well, let's try to do away with these offensive, harmful generalizations that misguide the younger generation into thinking, okay, this is how they were and this is how they are, and try to kind of bring forward um, a more mature, a more fact based
Hmm.
um, interpretation of who these people actually were. And I think that the intent was on that, but as more and more people who I want to say, I don't want to go out and insult somebody because like I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, calm down.
Yeah,
but but you get these people who are basically bored because first world problems, right?
exactly.
Who who will take offense to basically everything without understanding, like, in the context, maybe the people who you are trying to be offended for are not offended because they understand the context of what's being presented, and they're like, oh well, that's kind of amusing, and it's like, okay, well, if they're not offended, why are you offended?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of the ticket item that I'm really kind of curious about is that why would you take such a big offense to such a small deal?
Yeah, and I guess kind of me being as heavy into internet culture as I am, and like I have to catch myself sometimes too.
Hmm.
Um, I used to kind of like be in the mindset of like everything's offensive to this group of people and that group of people, right? Like you get
Exactly.
upset for the sake of getting upset.
And that's the one thing I really dislike about, especially about that kind of culture, is the getting upset for the sake of getting upset.
Yeah,
Because
like,
you and I both know that's just a level of toxic that really is unnecessary.
and they don't see it that way. Like it's easy to kind of fall into that mentality of, well, I'm upset because this is offensive to somebody else. No, you're upset because you want to be upset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um, and I don't even think it's like a mental illness thing. I think it's we're at a point as a society and as a culture in the West here
Hmm.
where we have no. Okay, I don't want to say we don't have any legitimate problems because definitely do,
Oh, we definitely do.
but we don't have any obvious ones. And what I mean by that, because I know someone's gonna be like, "Well, what about racism in the U.S. and stuff?" It's like, well, okay, yeah, that's an obvious one, but if you're a white person, um, who's even middle class, it's not obvious to you.
No,
It,
I don't think it would be obvious to anybody who hasn't been through the level of culture discrimination as like a lot of people say they have. And that kind of what's the one thing that gets me is just like, if you can't, you know, if you can't empathize and you lack kind of, just in general, just lack that empathy, don't I just don't think there's any particular reason why you should try and piss off people just because it feels like you're pissing off people for the sake of pissing off people. Like, why?
well, and that's the thing. I live with a roommate who, I when got back here,
Well,
I tried to
we're
explain.
touching on some heavy stuff today. Only I didn't think I didn't think we're gonna touch on some heavy stuff.
how how does bubble tea go? How do we go?
How do we go from bubble tea to that? I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, how do we go from bubble tea to racial disparity in Western culture?
yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you.
It's actually John Oliver did a special on the Uyghurs in China, and his cold open was this girl doing a makeup tutorial. She starts out, like, so first thing you're gonna want to do is get your brush and stuff, and it's like, and then we're gonna talk about the Uyghurs in China. It's just like, wow.
Wow, that's.
I I came here to learn how to curl my lashes, and
Hey,
suddenly,
I'm not gonna shame. I'm not here to kink shame, homie.
well,
But
it's just
like, I'm not one to kink shame or anything. But like that, some things I would like to ask a little bit of a question and they'll get a little bit of context before.
well, no. It's like, I guess you do the cold open like that. It's just like, well, we're gonna do this wholesome thing and talk about it. And it's like all of a sudden, uh, heavily discriminated and abused Muslims in China. It's just like, well,
Yeah, that's a little one way and then the other.
listen, you're either gonna teach me how to curl my lashes, or you're gonna educate me on the suffering of the Uyghurs. You gotta
It's not
pick a
one or
topic.
the other.
Yeah, you definitely gotta pick a topic on that one. But you get where she's coming from too. It's just
Yeah.
like, well, you wanna, and I don't think the bait and switch is necessarily a bad thing in those kinds of things. Because again, it's coming back to the if you don't see it, it's not obvious, and a
Hmm.
lot of what you're dealing with as a person, if you're not in that setting, is first world outrage culture.
And that's
Um,
that's kind of what worries me a little bit about it is that we have that culture problem.
yeah,
And it
we're
it it's it is kind of worrisome because there's nothing I could really say that isn't going to offend somebody.
I think that's kind of the thing is that the topic can't be broached in the way that even when I've talked to my roommate about like it's like I was explaining to her why these protests are happening back last summer. Like it's not just these people are looking to loot and to riot and stuff. It's they're upset because a system that
Hmm.
should.
Okay, I would like to touch on that point just a hair because there is a portion of it where the looting and the rioting does has no has no association with that specific medium
Oh yeah, 100%.
because it's
I
it's here's the funny thing, and this is the one thing that gets me here. It's if you look at the people who are looting and rioting and causing havoc, it's not. There is a few who do it, but it's not the general populace of that. It's
yeah.
mostly people of not Caucasian descent, which is strange, and it's super strange to me why in every single other culture it's not th- just being able to you can't just attack somebody like that,
No, a hundred
but
percent. Like,
somehow if it's white people it's fine. And I think this is more of a skin color thing. So we're having the inverse problem instead of the normal problem of, hey, you it's culture versus it's literally culture versus skin color, which is really kind of the way more bothersome than it should be. And
well, no, it's
I
no,
can't wrap my head around how this fundamentally just changes the fundamentals of it all.
and here's my counterpoint to that. I think it being as problematic as it is 100% the reaction that we should be having towards it. Um, I'm gonna say, as a side note, 100%, the looting and the rioting is not acceptable by any measure, and I'm not
Oh,
just saying that
exactly.
from a position of privilege, as it were, um, but because this is not how we do things as a society. We talk about how we are more educated, more evolved, more mature in how we do things, and then we have people who are incited into violence by the cult of personality. I won't even say his name. Is
Hmm.
how offensive he is now. um, like
Yeah.
I'll say Hitler, and like I'll say Hitler
No,
in the
and
right context, but I won't
okay,
say
there's a
that.
different there's a bit of a difference here. Like I think there's a lot of disconnect between that. Like you can, even though a lot of people will just they will shame Hitler for every reason in the book. I don't think there's a particular right reason to shame somebody because because of a past thing. You can't, even though the same rules apply now.
Oh, absolutely. I'm probably
You can't. My issue in this case is you can't apply rules of the past to the current to the current venue.
no, and what I was saying there was like I'll say Adolf's name in its full amount.
Yeah,
Um
you're more than allowed to say Adolf's name. There's nothing
um
stopping you from that. And if somebody wants to contest that, like it's not inciting hate speech. It's a name.
yeah,
Yes, there's a lot of like emotion and attachment to said name, but at the end of the day, it's still a name.
yeah, and here's the thing. We have media and stuff that doesn't glorify him. It
No,
more or less
it actually
shows,
shames him.
yeah, it shows how completely unhinged he was, especially near the end. But we then take that media and
We
make memes
bastardize
out.
it.
Yeah, like we the Hitler reacts memes, for example. I will stand by those as comedy. Um,
Exactly.
but you're not gonna have the 45th president as a legitimate meme anytime soon, and I don't think in the future. I think society and history will want to forget him, except as a footnote, because he came in at a time when we were already on the tipping point of Western society, kind of like hitting this. I don't want to say implosion, but it was like if the U.S. crumbles, everything's going to hell.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And the fact that he nearly pushed it to that breaking point, and then he had the gall to step back and say, "Oh well, they're just upset because the I lost," and it's just like, well, no, you're a loser, and you're citing other people who I'm not gonna go again. Like I have my opinions on the people who supported him, but like you went and you incited other people into doing your bidding because you don't want to admit that you lost. Like and more than it,
I think there's more to it because you a lot of this, yes, there is a lot of like propaganda towards it, and you have to also take in the retrospect of where Germany was at at that time. It was not in a good place. Like their
no.
current, like just to put the currency on the map as an example, like their currency was garbage.
Oh yeah, and contextually, like the Nazi Party did for the most part
They brought it
win
back.
their.
They managed to bring them back somehow.
Yeah, and it wasn't just that. Like the Nazi Party actually did like win their, at least from what I recall, they did win their position. But like the party was so split down the middle, there were the extremists who wanted more aggressive policies and kind of like push those policies, and then there were the kind of centrists who were like, okay, well, we'll use our policies, but we can't disqualify the other side either, right?
No, and I'm not going to discount that fact at all. And which is actually kind of the most interesting portion of it because in full retrospect, the government could could there was a possibility that Hitler could have never been in office.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I- n- and that's kind of the one thing that is just like I can understand that because for for one thing to happen, eh, I could understand the fact of for one specific thing to happen, you needed so much to fall in the right place. And I this actually repeats itself in the U.S., which is if you think about it, how much like do you know how much had to be pulled to have Donald Trump run for president alone? He was laughed at,
Yeah. Well,
and hate him or love him. I don't care which other side of it. Hate him or love him. Respect the hustle for the fact that he actually went out and did it.
you know what? I can't even respect the hustle because it wasn't his own.
No,
And that's
it totally wasn't. It was stolen valor. It's like a stolen valor kind of thing.
well, except for Stolen Valor, like you can trace the disgrace back to an actual legitimate source, whereas
Hmm.
Donald Trump, there was no everything about it was fake. From the outrage towards Mexicans to the wanting to
I
build
think
a
it was most of
wall.
that. Like most of that is like seriously unwanted. Like why?
Well, that's the thing. Like you're looking at it's the same thing we have here in Alberta right now, and thankfully, a lot of
It's not
people.
as bad. Like
No, no,
it's
no.
bad, but it's not like discrimination against like a certain race or on top of like, yeah, it's not as bad.
Well, and this kind of comes back to Canadians pride themselves on their inclusion, and then you get into that one time in I think like the 1940s or something where we actually did try to sign an anti-black immigration policy. So it's like, okay, nobody knows about this, but it did happen. It's just like maybe we don't want that to be in our history books.
No, I can agree with that. Because
Like it's that one time we fucked up so bad, even our own historians were like, okay, we're
calm
gonna
it down.
yeah, we're gonna pretend that didn't happen, but
But
there's like this big asterisk beside it. That was effing racist, yo.
yeah, some of that needed to stop.
But like, and I can laugh about because like as a Canadian, I get it. We pretend that we are the cultural. I think a teacher used to call it the moccasin.
Oh my god.
We're the cultural goulash. We're a lot of different things in a pot. Um,
She,
and into
to be fair, she isn't wrong there. There is a lot of like, it's like a culture stew. Like it's a lot of small good things that come together and become a better sum of its parts.
yeah, like and goulash is like Russian, I believe.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
He's gonna
think.
correct me. So they're like,
I
no.
can't. I don't know if I should be the one to be corrected on this one because I don't really know.
I know somebody's
Oh
like,
god.
why didn't you just Google it, you friggin' guy? Um,
I could have. Honestly, I actually should have. I just didn't have the time right now.
well, it's we're having this super deep discussion, I'm sure.
Oh, totally.
Not, um, but like it's at the end of the day, we're coming together with different cultures, and we like to pride ourselves on that fact that we're inclusive and we're not ever going to try to tell somebody, well, you gotta adapt to our culture, but at the same time, we kind of do, and
It's gonna
it's
happen. Somebody's gonna be the dickbag who does it, and it's not gonna be fun.
no, and like I think, and somebody might get upset with this. Like, I think Justin Trudeau 100% represents the Canadian identity of we try to do our best, but when we fuck up, we really come out and say, you know what, I fucked up. That doesn't mean I'm gonna quit my job and stuff, but I want you to know that I fucked up.
No, and there's a lot of parts where I think a lot of just even saying, hey, I messed up here says a
Yeah,
lot.
but
And
Canadians, go ahead.
and historically, we have not been amazing.
No, 100%. I mean, there are times where we could probably rival the US in terms of crap we have done.
I think Alberta could do that by itself.
Oh yeah. I mean, being called the Texas of the US is not just
Oh no, that's not for show. That's that. There's a lot of going on there.
or no, not the Texas of the US, Texas the Canada, but yeah. No, we're definitely guilty of a lot of really questionable stuff, and I don't think um as a nation we're as like the US has it in its face, and I think it's just population difference. I want to say it's that because anything else kind of feels like a cop out.
Yeah,
Um, we could say we've learned to be more tolerant in Canada. We could say we've learned to be, I guess, better by example of our sister to the south. It's kind of like, well, okay, but we still have these issues. We're just not as confrontational about them, and as a result, we don't feel as much that it's there. I want to say,
that's the part that worries me though, and I say that with as much dignity as I can. But
Yeah,
I think there's a problem where if you say the wrong thing, you just get cancel cultured out to the nines. And actually,
yeah.
this actually leads us into a good point. Because
Uh-oh.
no, no, no. I think that I think cancel culture is fucking stupid.
I agree with you. I think. Well, you go first because You know
Well,
me.
yeah, you're gonna go on for a while. I
Yeah.
understand. The reason why I honestly I dislike cancel culture in this instant is because it's just you're you're taking the right ideas and implement them in a way that does not make any sense, or actually it encourages the wrong kind of attitude.
Yeah. You're right.
And that's why I get bothered by it. Because I know a lot of my friends, I have a good amount of friends
Yeah.
that are either being affected by cancel culture, have been affected by cancel culture, or was like I wouldn't say directly impacted by it, but in a sense has an idea of it and what it's about. And the
Well,
reason why I get worried about it is because cancel the way that cancel culture worked is so questionable and so toxic by nature that I feel like just partaking it, you're opening yourself up to be just annihilated at the end of the day.
and it comes back to that point about cultural appropriation and
Yeah,
the good the good intent by a few corrupted by the outrage of the
by many.
mass, right? Yeah. There's good intent behind cancel culture, I think. Like there are certain things that should not be acceptable, especially in today's society. For example, Roseanne, what's her face, Roseanne Barr or something like that. Anyways, a
Yeah,
couple years back, when her new show, which was basically just a continuation of her first show, when it was, I think, like in second or third season, she made a few choice comments, I think, on Twitter or on a talk show, and it rubbed people the wrong way. It was like a really you don't say this type of thing kind of commentary, and
yeah,
as
but
a
there's a difference between you don't say this and hey, we're just gonna not have you do anything because screw you.
and I have to kind of like counter that point because when you don't when you do nothing but give them a slap on the wrist, it's kind of like, and especially nowadays, unfortunately, um, you're not really deterring them. You're just telling them, well, don't do it now, and then they'll go and do it later, type of thing, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't. Unfortunately, we live in a society right now where the rules have kind of changed on punishment, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that
You're saying it as
we
a thing that you need to be mindful of.
Yeah, because slaps on the wrist are kind of now seen as, well, I can just keep doing it, and the outcome is never going to be so egregious that I am personally hurt by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think necessarily that's a bad thing. I think it's that there are a lot of people, especially from generations ago, like from the Harvey Weinstein generation and that, who are going to see this culture of slap on a wrist and a firm reprimand, and their emotional investment in the people that they hurt is so little that you giving them that slap on the wrist amounts to basically nothing. Um, because they don't have the emotional intelligence or maturity to recognize that they did something wrong. And certainly you talking down to them and reprimanding them is
I don't even
not.
think it's reprimanding them that's gonna be like the solution here. It's like if you really need to deter someone from doing something, you really got to put the hammer down.
Well, and that's the thing. Like Roseanne, she made a few choice comments that are, they were racist for the most part. I can't even. It's this. It's a similar situation to Hulk Hogan and his racist comments, right? Like,
Like to be
but
fair, he, that doesn't all that surprise me.
at the same time, there's a difference between the situations. Roseanne did it publicly. It was a public venue. She shouldn't have done it. So, you know, if we reprimand her, is she going to take it to heart and say, okay, well, I did her wrong? Is she going to come out publicly and apologize? I think she did. I think,
I believe she did.
yeah, and I think when she apologizes, she should be able to go back to her show
Mhm.
and be in the spotlight again. Because
It,
un- until
she gets a tournament. She gets a redemption arc. Is basically what I'm hearing.
yeah, we need to build our society on a society of second chances. Like there's
Hmm.
you can't just fuck up once and then you're out. Yeah, I think that's completely unfair to the person, especially if someone's digging up years old tweets and saying, "Well, there
This
was this
doesn't up
one
you
time."
this oh this doesn't work in this again like this actually applies to the same rule set that I said beforehand. You cannot touch on historical events in the same rules context.
No, um,
You have to apply what logic and reasoning is there at that time to that moment instead of trying to overlay the rules and regulations of the current year
yeah.
on past events because this is going to happen.
Oh,
It's not a question. It's not even a question. It is going to happen.
yeah. Well, I would say with respect to the overlaying rules onto past events, like it's already happened, and that's the problem. Like you can't look at something from like 10 years ago and apply the same rules to it from now. And somebody's gonna say, well, I think you're splitting hairs on this. 10 years ago is 10 years ago. That's a
Hmm.
long time. And our understanding of
Our understanding of everything has changed in 10 years.
yeah,
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It doesn't matter. Like
yeah, like people might accuse me of like trying to oversimplify it. Like one of the things that I enjoy is like I won't claim to be an expert,
no,
but in terms of organic biology, or biology in general, cell division, for example, cells divide and reproduce. Well, they divide and then they die out, and
mhm.
um
There's
one of
it gets replaced by new cells. Yeah.
well, it doesn't even do that. It's these new cells are a completely new thing. Um, and one of the things that was brought up a few days ago on a RP site is my character came back because we cloned the body. I'm like, well, okay, 100%. You can't just clone a body. Scientists have been
Not
trying to.
perfectly.
Well, no, it's scientists have been trying to do this for decades. And then this kind of ties into surgeries and organ transplants. You can't. The reason why they have to really, where they have to basically shut down the immune system of the transplant recipient is because the immune system will see a foreign object trying to trying to be put into the body, and it will immediately try to destroy it.
Mm. Oh, I
Uh,
see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it in that using that as an example for 10 years ago, the rules don't apply the same that they do now. We as a society are always kind of transplanting new organs into our understanding of not just culture, but of how we as a people, as a society, want to be, perceived.
Hmm.
Um, so the rules from 10 years ago are no longer the rules of today, but the events of 10 years ago are following those rules. So if we apply those events now, we can't, like, the context is kind of messed up because we don't have the proper, without the rules being applied in the same way, we don't get the kind of context and the understanding from it, right?
Right. Yeah.
What we do understand from it is because we have that experience, we have that knowledge. But if we tried to apply, say, something from the 1600s to now,
It just
we
doesn't
could.
work.
No, and it's the same thing for something like 10 years ago. It doesn't work. We're not functioning under that same perception,
Hmm.
under that same kind of belief system, under those same rules. Things have changed.
And that's kind of the nice thing about it is when especially when the rules change and a lot of the rules don't stay the same. We can't let the old rules dictate a lot of new things. And this actually brings like there's a lot of things I could tangent into this, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, it's a discussion that definitely you could go hours and hours with it, right?
Right. And I think just to I'm gonna have to edit the crap out of this episode just to make sure that we have the main topic we wanted to touch on.
Which was
No, like no offense, dude, but we tangent the hardest today.
I think that kind of works for a podcast though. Like all the good ones I've seen,
Yeah,
like,
I'm not disagreeing with you there. It's just I was not expecting to tangent into real deep, real deep shit.
um, and
But
like I'm
I'll
gonna.
take it, dude. Honestly, I'll take it. This is gonna be good. I can feel it.
Oh yeah, like I'll definitely push it out there. You gotta edit out that part. We're just like I got advertising everywhere.
Yeah.
um, but no, you're right. It's a topic that could keep going, right?
Mm-hmm. And I heard you've kept going. Like I'm gonna be very honest with you. The entire time that I've just listened, just just listened, and I don't know what my brain can do. I don't know how my brain can do this, and or like why my brain can do this. But I'm actually just sitting around in the practice tool, just fucking around on League.
I was tempted to open up Magic Arena and just like let my mind go one way and let everything else go the other way.
Okay, good. I honestly I feel bad, but now that you say it, now you're like, oh well, I would probably just do this anyway. I don't feel so bad anymore.
Oh no, like I was tempted to open up Honkai Impact 3 and like
Just
for
let that happen, huh?
yeah, just like
Actually,
it's
this is actually a really good segue. Honestly, we could probably segue into like video games and shit like that right now.
okay, so let's have our gotcha episode like 20 episodes early.
We
um
I could just see the thing is like we already touched on our main topic, and we could honestly all we need to do is all I need to do is just like cut portions of it out where it's like we didn't get there or we like sidetracked or anything, and we honestly could get like 2 or 3 episodes out of this. Because right now, like I'm testing out Viego right now on the practice. This is live, by the way.
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
test
go ahead.
I'm testing out Viego, and he's like, holy fuck,
I absolutely believe we could get at least 2 45-minute episodes out this easily.
probably.
Um I think the potential for it is there. Um but I guess going on to the tangent about gotcha games, they
Okay,
suck.
I have words about gotcha games, and this is I'm exiting out of my game just to get on this tangent.
Uh-oh, here comes the
It's a really bad addiction. It's a real bad addiction.
it's you're right. You're 100% right.
It and that's what the as much as I as much as I don't like it, I think Honkai Impact Third, Genshin Impact in that same vein are probably two of the best that I've seen so far.
Okay, so I'm gonna. There's a really
Speaking of Honkai Impact Third, I'm firing that up now.
God. You know we have to get
Cause,
like that going
cause,
now.
dude, I know, and I'm pretty sure after the podcast we're probably gonna fire. I'm firing it up right now because the new update for Blazing Hope is live, and come on, man, you can't not get Azula,
You mean Asuka?
Asuka,
A-
yeah.
Um. So yeah. Anyone who even just like wants to know what this is, it's
What we're doing?
basically yeah. So um, Honkai Impact Third is free to play gotcha game. Originally came out in for mobile. The mobile version is absolute garbage.
It does not work.
it does, but it doesn't.
It
uh,
it is okay. I have an iPhone 11. No, I have an iPhone 8,
yeah,
and like it will like overheat one of these things.
yeah.
And
Uh,
that's how like you need a strong phone, and you can I kind of hear it in the background now. Like on my end, you could probably hear it in the background. But this game has so much and requires so much process
yeah.
that you could
Um,
take an iPhone 8 and literally light it on fire.
so firstly, I want to put this one on, and you're gonna have to watch this one video. It's
I
just
really hope I
just
can just get I really want to get
just
Asuka. Cuz
Asuna,
As
Asuka.
Is it Asuna? Am I getting that right? No.
No, Asuna's from SAO, and yeah,
God, there's so many names to try and remember. It kind of blurs together to me.
yeah. Getting the robot Shinji. That video I just sent you is to troll the viewers with.
I don't know
It's
if I can play it.
no, just play it, just play it.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's
No,
fine. No, just do it, just do it.
it's DMCA. That's the thing. That's what I'm worried about.
Don't worry about it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wasted 10 seconds of your life.
Hmm.
There you go.
Well, okay. That
That last part,
change the
yeah.
10
Okay.
seconds. Change the 10 seconds to 10 minutes to like 10 hours, and I swear, that's Honkai Impact.
Yeah, this is
That
from
no joke.
I
That is Honkai Impact.
I actually have the guy who runs this channel
Mhm.
on my friends list on the game. So I think we interacted once or twice, which was, it sucks, but
Okay, I
oh
gotta
well.
like mute the music portion of it. That way I don't get DMCA'd into outer space.
Yeah. But these are gacha pulls he did for specific equipments of Valkyries. So the girls in Honkai Impact are Valkyries. Basically, think girls who are also WMDs. Um,
So basically, okay, to give us a context, there's another version of this that is a little bit different. It's called Girls Frontline.
yeah,
That I would say is the most blatant version of a gotcha game that I've heard so far.
well, the thing with it is that it's
There.
Girls Frontline. God, something Azure or Um, I'll think
Cause,
of it.
cause no joke, every single girl, basically every single girl in that thing is a gun. Period.
Yeah. So my like I heard of the battleships one where every girl's a battleship. Um,
Oh no.
um,
I'm
yeah.
worried. I am so scared.
There was the 2 year anniversary thing I think of that, and one of the lead developers on the team was like, "There are so many degenerates."
See,
Like
the
that,
thing is, you're not wrong. I hate the fact that it's not wrong.
you just like that's their entire their market appeal is there's so many degenerates. So his like
No.
he
You
knows his
can't
audience.
just say it's you can't just do that though.
What, call out people who are very clearly
No,
comfortable with.
the problem is you can, but you shouldn't, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no, you're right. It's, um I guess it really depends too. Like if these people are aware of who they are, is there really an issue there?
No. That
Um
that's the thing that worries me the most about this is because there is so much. Like, do you know what's hilariously funny? I have not finished the entire story arc. I've gotten as far as chapter 4. Betrayer has a silvery smile on
oh
Honkai. I have not finished the entire story. I have done. I have 100%ed chapters 1 and 2. I'm 63% past Poem of the Wind, and I have 37% on Betrayal Has a Silvery Smile, and I'm not finished it
um
because the insane level creep on this game is dumb.
all right, well, you're going to have to start up the co-op here, the co-op raid. You go into
I'm not. I don't want
training.
to start this because we're gonna get so sidetracked. We need to finish this. We need to finish this show before we can do something like that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pause it here then. No, I'll just pause it and tab out. Um but I mean, another 20 minutes sounds good.
Oh god, yeah, and this is why. Okay, here's why I have a weird. I guess I've gotten my own choice of waifus on some of them. Like for girls frontline, I think I have my choice already.
Like
For the for girls frontline, I know I have my choice on one because the
yeah.
girls frontline M14 is just adorable, and I don't care what anybody says about the rifle and whatnot. The rifle is amazing to me.
Yeah.
And the girl who has the rifle and portrays the rifle as the rifle is fucking adorable.
She is pretty adorable. I just looked it up. I'm
You
just
you
like,
just yeah. So you know what I mean, right? Like I
yeah.
think I found my type.
Um, no, she looks wholesome, which is kind of like the appeal.
Hmm.
Um, like I'm looking at the M4A1, and she's like, well, okay, but what's her appeal? She's boring. She's a boring
What's
waifu
sad?
nobody
What's
wants.
sad?
Yeah.
The sad thing about this is that you can get you can get that as a cosplay, and that
I mean,
worries me the most.
well, it's just like, do I want that waifu though? Like, I'd rather just have the M14. She's wholesome. I don't. I feel nothing
Oh,
but
there
the
we go.
utmost.
Somebody actually did a fan art for the M14 EBR, which is the exact rifle that I own as an airsoft gun. I found it.
Nice.
Oh my god. Dude, you have to look. Here, I'll post this in Discord. Check this. There it is.
Yeah,
That
I'm.
see, I'm about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, it's got like to be fair, it's got it has the stock extended way too far for her reach. But that's
Yeah, but
it right there. That is it right there.
she would blow her shoulder out. I think actually.
No, because you look at, I have in my possession a G&G Armaments M14 EBR short barrel
Yeah.
with the box that has the long barrel that's in it.
Okay.
So all I need to do is pull out the short barrel and and put in the long barrel and whatever, do some airsoft shit, and all of a sudden I have a long barreled M14 EBR Mod 0. The way that if you look at the stock, the way that it's positioned, it means it's fully extended, and I'm pulling out mine, which is like right beside me, out of the gun bag. So you get to enjoy that fucking audio. Oh my god, I forgot how heavy this bitch is.
It's
All right,
M14, but very modern. You versus the
I
battle
no no
rifle.
no no.
Not to worry about.
The funny thing is, and like I don't, none of our podcasters have seen this, like the version that I have, but I think you have. I'm pretty sure you have.
I might not have.
I'll take a. I'll put the photo of the disc in the Discord. But this rifle is drop dead gorgeous. But like I want to shoulder it with the stock fully extended to
Yeah.
really give it a decent idea of why I don't like how it should work, because oh my god. Okay, give me a second, because
It's like a 20 pounds.
so it's a big ass rifle. Okay, I have it extended fully.
Yep.
It is resting on my shoulder, and
Jesus.
my front hand, which is my left hand, is resting where the magazine well is. So I would actually be really reaching to grab the handguard. Okay, I have the gun on safe, which is good. The reason why I don't like this is because I have to reach so far for that. On top of that, where my scope is aimed, my eye relief is like nowhere near close to the eye, to where my eye needs to be. And she
So
has okay, well, two other things. One, where you see the cheek riser, that's the black thing on top.
yeah.
You're not going to see out of that scope. I know that scope very well. It's an ACOG. It's a standard ACOG scope. You're not going to be able to see out of it. No way. No way in hell. You actually need to get that cheek riser up. Like I have high rise mounts on mine, and the cheek riser set I think 3.5 dots up, and it sits perfectly. But the eye relief on that scope is like really, you need to be like on your rifle really
Yeah.
well. That being said, like once you're on it, you're on it. So as much I could probably, is it sad to say that I could cosplay that because I have the gun?
I don't think so.
I should probably cosplay that. I could. Like this thing is nice. And it's hefty. Like this thing weighs. This thing has some weight to it. And I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to find that blazer.
Wait, you're gonna cosplay as a chick? I feel I wanna try to convince you to cosplay as Felix Agro just because you've already made that like transition into cosplay.
To be okay, I need to drop a photo to give you a little bit more context on why this might work actually. And I understand our podcast listeners are not going to get this fully. but where is it? I need to find it. It's on my phone. I swear to God, it's on my phone. Actually, I could use that. The thing. Where is? There it is. Problem. I don't see that being a problem.
Yeah. Give me a second. I'll check it. I mean, you still look masculine as a problem.
I don't give a shit, dude. The point is I don't give a shit.
That's
like
fair.
I don't know if you've seen the profile picture I have on Discord, but you know.
No, that's fine. I have no issue there. What the hell's going on with my Reddit account?
I don't know.
Oh, that's
my point. The point is I think I found a type.
You found a type. I found a type.
I think I have found a type. And I don't know if I should be worried that I actually did find a type or not, because I'm going to be very honest. I think my type is a gun.
I mean, my type is a nuke, so
I guess we're both weird today. I guess we're both kind of weird.
okay, my type is a tactical nuke in the four. No wait, my type is a tactical nuke as an extra dimensional creature in a girl's body. So figure that one out.
The level of sus has just risen like a good tenfold for the both of us.
Just like
AKA, it's another day in the office for the both of us.
Yeah. God, getting
goodness.
the trash taste guys on here would be the level of perfect for us.
It really is, and that's the sad thing. That's actually going to be the one thing that worries me the most, is the fact of if we ever get them on here, the only thing that's ever going to scare us ever is maybe Sydney.
Oh, Sydney terrifies the shit out of me. Just don't tell her that. Like she did a review of Metamorphosis, like that terrified her, but that terrifies everybody.
To be fair, if you could be a brick on on Metamorphosis, that's like some chops right there.
Yeah. Just a warning to our viewers: don't go don't
Google it. For the love of God, don't Google it.
Like we if you see the number come up in a Reddit thread, ignore it, delete it,
don't
do whatever.
Don't even think about it.
It gets saying it gets dark really quickly is an understatement. It really just it goes places.
It hits on levels that it shouldn't hit on. And
it's a real
it does a real spoop.
Yeah, like the author in an interview was saying, like, I'm not trying to glorify this culture or this reality, but you know, like presenting it in the form where it makes most sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also the JoJo ending is the canon ending.
Shush. Just shut.
Do you know the JoJo ending?
I'm scared that
It's
I
actually
think I might have stumbled across it like once. But like I don't think I've like properly seen it. But I have a feeling I know what you're talking about. But
it's basically Okuyasu and Josuke go in and fix her, and then
yeah.
Like I said, it's the purest ending, and it's the best ending, and it's the canon ending. By everybody's, by everybody's.
There's so many versions of M14. Oh my God! Some people really don't have anything else better to do. Holy shit!
I feel like we're gonna get DMCA'd for just mentioning metamorphosis.
I don't. No. Here's why. You can't get DMCA'd for for talking about a topic for talking about a show as your topic.
No,
Especially if you don't include clips or anything, you can't get DMCA'd for it.
no, but there's definitely like lines that should not be crossed.
Cause okay, to be fair, we didn't post any clips. We didn't post any. I don't plan on editing this to post clips or anything.
Yeah.
I the there'll be links in in the description to some of the photos that would make a little bit like to provide context. However,
I feel like she needs to be bullied for wearing that heavy of a jacket, but that's it. Uh,
I don't see it being anywhere near this level of status that it needs to be. Also, I don't like that rifle stock.
yeah, no, the rifle stock and the jacket definitely need to go.
It's the same. It's the same character. It's just a little bit
Poor,
different.
really shitty taste in rifle stock and jacket. I get it.
Like, okay, I don't know if I can get this loud enough that it's close enough to the mic that you can hear it, but the reason why I got this rifle was for one purpose and one for two purposes, but one actual purpose.
Okay.
That right there.
The spring.
Just.
I mean that is a satisfying spring noise. I will admit.
It's a heavy ass spring holding a heavy ass dust. Well, technically it's supposed to be the bolt, but it's actually more like a dust cover. Because this is an airsoft rifle that I'm holding. For anybody who wants to know, this is an airsoft rifle. I mentioned the company that made it, which is G&G Armament. They are not an actual firearms company. They are an airsoft company. I'm putting that on the record because I swear to God, if you call the cops and say that I'm owning a rifle and I get swatted out to the nines,
Hmm.
there will be some legal action.
Yeah, I don't know that we can't. Well,
Nope, you could take legal action against that because that is forgery of
oh,
document. That it is a forgery.
well, I don't think swatting's like. I think there has to be a legitimate concern nowadays. To swat someone. I don't know if the rules on that changed.
It
And
has a
especially,
little bit, but it's still problematic.
yeah, it's. I think why who started that anyways?
I don't know, and I don't want to find out.
Because like I'm gonna find out anyways. Um, Swatting is a criminal harassment tactic. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's criminal.
it's criminal.
Um, prank calls emerged over the years. Yeah, it's the term was used by the FBI as early as 2008, so probably maybe a couple years beforehand.
Still,
But yeah, no, it's stupid because why you're losing on Call of Duty or somebody says something you don't like. Like those are not
well,
good
okay.
reasons.
One, it's not a good reason. Two, it's abuse of the abuse of that system.
Yeah,
And three, it's forging a false narrative to exact. I wouldn't say revenge in a certain sense, but like that sort of with criminal intent.
yeah, it's you're abusing the system and then abusing the people who are on the receiving end of that system. And the thing with it is when you swat somebody,
You're causing harm.
well, not just that, but you're diverting resources away from legitimate crimes.
Hmm.
Um, and like that hurts people. And I know a lot of people will talk about, oh well, a lot of police work is just patrolling and stuff. Well, yeah, but there's like I'm not gonna profess to be a professional or an expert on this. I've read my fair share of law enforcement and
Like
intelligent
it's enough
work.
to like you have enough to what am I watching here? You have enough to understand where the law is applied, but
Yeah.
not really enough to really that's available. Um, it's not enough that way you can use it to your advantage. That's that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, like I've interacted with people who've been to prison and been inside the system and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of law enforcement work is people kind of like watch these cop shows and stuff and think that's either the bulk of it or they're really exaggerating for the action. It's half and half. Um there's a lot of paperwork, but there's also a lot of going out into the public and just like walking around, watching things, making sure there's nothing going on, and checking your sources on the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you're calling like the cops to prank somebody, you're taking cops off those street corners and stuff who are there for a reason, who are keeping those streets safe, and you're putting them into a position where not only are they breaking down somebody's door, but they're potentially endangering another person's life because you couldn't tolerate something they said or you couldn't tolerate losing at a game.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
And like you don't I think you definitely deserve to face a substantial fine and even prison time for that. I think if you're going to be that immature, then you need to be
I don't. I
handled.
think it's beyond maturity.
Yeah, it's yeah.
There, you. The question is if the question is not maturity. The question is you knew the rules. You understand how the rules worked. Yet you still use the rules to get leverage on someone else. You're basically extorting. And I
Basically,
hate to
without
I don't mean to use that term in that level of context, but I think it is to that severity. It's extortion.
yeah, well, and the difference is you're not like, well, what's the benefit you gain from it besides you hurt this person?
Mm-hmm.
Like usually an extortion, from my understanding, anyways, is like you're expecting something in return for not doing something. Whereas people who SWAT are basically going past the do this or I'll do this.
It's
Uh,
no because I say it's extortion of the resources here because you're getting something for basically doing nothing. And the reason why I say basically doing nothing is because you're using the words of someone who who pretended to be there,
yeah,
or you're basically falsifying information, and that's what I was trying to get at. You're falsifying information to cause something that is much more severe than it needed to be. And that's where I'm like that's where I think it's become extortion cuz
yeah,
you can't the full scenario is you can't just do that, dude. End of story.
yeah. No, it's harassment. I guess you could classify it as extortion. But it's 100% just like you're right, you shouldn't do it, and if you're doing it, then take the punishment because you made a choice.
Mhm.
I don't think getting a free pass from that is acceptable or fair to the victim at all.
Yeah. And
Um
and do what's the bet like I want to digress away from this because this is such a like deep. We can go on a deep talk. It's all day, but I don't think this is gonna be the. I would like to get in a couple more fun episodes before we get into deep stuff.
Oh yeah, like we already went pretty deep here.
We went deep, so I'm saving this one. This one's gonna be like it'll be on here for this one, but I think the next couple times it'll be definitely edited out and then separated.
I think the deep stuff can, like you said, wait another couple of episodes. Like we
Mhm.
have enough content now, where I'm comfortable saying, like let's wait until like fifth episode to have that talk about
Yeah.
uh cross cultural pollination and stuff. Like let's not terrify our viewers away
No,
before.
like not. We're just gonna send you off the deep end. No, we're not gonna do that. To wrap this up, bubble tea. There's a lot of bubble tea places in Calgary. I think a lot of them you should visit. A lot of them are chains, which are they're not bad. I will say this: a lot of the places that I've been to, like Cha Time, uh, Gancha, they're solid. They're good. I like it's in your wheelhouse. If you can go visit one, go visit one. But like at the end of the day, if you can find one that's more local and it's more mom and pop, you get to talk to the people there, support them. For the love of God, please support them.
Especially now.
Um, go. We're probably gonna we're gonna be playing Honkai Impact in a little bit. Uh, I think we have our take on gotcha games. It is hard, hard takes, and
Um,
yeah.
I I want to interrupt there with, I think we could have that episode um where we talk about more in depth, because I think there's a subject there
At
that
the gotcha games? On gotcha
yeah,
games?
like
Yeah.
I don't think enough and maybe it's
This is
lack of
it
experience.
we're touching the surface on that.
Yeah, I think it's a lack of experience with some podcasts, but like especially I think it's something that needs to be brought up, but it's another episode for another time.
That's fair.
Just like what's your favorite? Just like the hentai episode.
Oh no, I'm not ready for that.
Like we'll wait like 30 episodes for that one, and I'll have it with our other buddy there, Zinger. Um,
Yeah. We'll definitely get Zinger on here.
we
But yeah,
definitely need it.
that I guess this kind of ends the episode of we don't even have a title for this yet.
Well, yeah.
We haven't even put an episode to this, which is hilariously funny. We don't even have an episode for this podcast, and we're just doing a pilot episode now. We'll figure it out.
Well, yeah, we'll call it Bubble Tea Basics for now.
I don't know. I don't like the title, but
We'll figure it out as we go, I think.
cool.
But yeah, we'll catch you guys later.
Well, I'm not gonna end stream, so
Well,
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the editing close sound. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
Alright,
I think
I'm gonna switch scenes on my editing. Actually, show on Impact Third, so we're gonna do that.
should I try to
Crap.
should I try to invite some people in to just like watch a stream?
Like you could. Like I wouldn't be opposed to it, honestly.
I think we're gonna suck, but we can like suck with an audience. That makes sense.
Are you sure you're ready for that?
I think that's like the easiest way for us to kind of like gauge. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think if
My
we're going to,
question is are you gonna be ready for that? That's what I'm wondering.
yes, but no. I I
That's fair.
I I think if I'm gonna be internet famous, I gotta kind of like get used to people like, oh, you suck.
Like we didn't really set out to be like the trash taste guys. So that's in full honesty, I have to admit we are not in the same same level
Oh,
of like the trash taste guys?
oh no, we're not even the same ballpark. Like
No, I didn't think so.
I think once we've built up to that point, it's
Oh,
feasible.
all of my scenes are broken.
Uh-oh.
God damn it.
How fuck
No! Ah!
how fucked are you right
Why
now?
did you bork on me?
Well, I don't even know how to answer that one.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
even
gonna
know.
have to just reset OBS. I guess I am ending stream. Oh, that sucks.
Oh
Hold
well.
on.